Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already, you know what? Let's let the intro do it for us. I'm over here gigging, man. Thank you guys for all the support. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're back. Ding! Put your notification bell on also. That way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that I'm kicking. So today I wanted to talk about the only yard that in the state of California that the Norteños were not allowed, no matter what they did, no matter what administration did, they were not allowed to walk on this particular yard, man. And to tell you guys the background on this, I brought in the Paso Robles guru himself. Big Dubs. Let's go.
Love guru.
So Dubs, this is a simple conversation. You were there when the Norteños got there to Paso Robles in the Youth Authority.
I remember the day. I remember the day they got there.
What was the feel like? Like, what was it? Did you guys know? Did you get a heads up? What happened?
So, YA being the way YA is, there was a whole thing. What happened was the head of the CYAs changed, and the new guy that was put in place, he was looking over from what we were told. He was looking over like, wait a minute, so the Southerners go to every single youth authority, but the Northerners, no matter what they do, stay in big numbers in only like 5 YAs. And he said, I'm changing that. So it freaked out all the staff down south because they were like, fuck. So with us, I remember they told us, hey, these dudes are coming. Some of the Huras were talking shit. These dudes are going to fuck you up and this and that. And that's when we became aware of, they were saying, hey, one of the ones they're going to send is a Golden Gloves boxer. He was from Fresno. He was not a gang member on the streets, a kid that got caught up in something. But like in the school area, our teachers were telling us straight up, hey, look, we know you guys are going to get into it with them. Do us a favor. Don't hit them with desks. Like, get them outside of the, like, don't let them into the classroom. We're like, we do what we want to do. But yeah, it was like everybody knew they were coming. The blacks, I remember the blacks telling us, hey, look, we're not going to back them dudes up. We don't want you guys thinking we're going to back them up. Shit, we'll get off on them too. And we're like, no. This is like, we'll take care of it. The homies were talking about, I remember because in Paso, it's shut down now. But like if you pull up like a aerial view of Paso, where visiting was, there you could literally throw a handball over visiting, like the fence, not even a long ways, just throw it right over. You could throw things over. And when vatos were coming out of visiting, they could pick it up. There's no cameras, there's no Huras, nothing. And so people were seriously talking about they wanted to have family throw guns over. And then you know how YA was back then. Everybody was nuts, and vatos were like, hey, vatos were like, I'm gonna fucking set, like, people are gonna talk about this, and homies were talking about, hey, we're gonna fucking get guns and fucking shoot these dudes in the dorm. Fuck battery packs. So it was a big old thing, and everybody was excited. And then that's where these 3 dots actually come from. There was a group of us that were straight knuckleheads, and we were like, man, I don't even want these vatos even, like, don't even talk to me, Holmes. Like, when we make eye contact, you're gonna see these 3 dots, so you don't gotta ask me where I'm from. It was just a wild thing. Everybody was gung-ho on both sides.
It's crazy you say that, because we had the exact same mentality in Nellis. So when I got to Nellis, I was on the second bus load. Northerners were already there, and I'm not even gonna lie, when I passed Bakersfield, I knew it got real. And I said to myself, this is do or die right here. You're either going to fight or flight, right? So you have no choice. They put us in a predicament. At that time, the governor was Pete Brown, and Pete Brown was no nonsense. Pete Wilson, excuse me, Pete Brown. I'm always, it's the diabetes fucks my mind up. Pete Wilson, right? And Pete Wilson was no nonsense. He didn't play, man. I remember one of my homeboys' mothers got at him because he got stabbed in Nellis, and she was like, you're sending him down south. You're causing wrecks, and he was like, hey, he sends to the California Youth Authority, not the Northern California Youth Authority. Yes. Right? He wrote her back. He was not playing. But so the reason I wanted to do this video about Paso was kind of different. And I know Nellis gets compared a lot to Paso. It was 2 totally different institutions, 2 totally different mentalities. Whereas I believe in Nellis, it was more so gangbanging. There was a lot of different vadus, different hoods, and it was just always Crips and Bloods, north and south especially. Just, I mean, if you had enemigos that came in, they were getting off all the time. There's a lot of gangbanging, but I know in Preston, it was gangbanging as well. Southsiders always were involved in that, but it was more so, it seemed to me like racial. Like they all banded together, like it was real racial. But it wasn't as racial in Nellis.
In Preston, you said?
In Paso.
No, Paso, we had to gangbang. We had reglas. If an enemigo came in the compa, you had 3 days to get off. Whenever they would rotate the classes, you start the new semesters, whatever. If you were in a classroom with an enemigo, you had to get off. If you were in vicinity with your enemigo, mandatory had to. No, the thing was, Nellis was gangbanging. Paso was gangbanging, and then you had the racial shit. There was always race riots jumping off all the time. So we had both, and then that's why there was always a competition between Paso and Nellis. And Nellis were younger dudes.
Yeah.
And they played games that we didn't play, like they used to, like even the fact that the Paisas had their own TVs, like in Paso, they're with us. You know what I mean? Like, like it wasn't that's separated. I don't know when you got there if they changed it, but I know before they were like, the homies had a TV and the Paisas had a TV. We're like,
it was like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, see, and like a lot of the games they would play, like trying to really, really, really break dudes. It happened in Paso, but Nellis, we thought they went overboard with it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, out of you and I'm gonna get more hate in the comment section than you because I was in Paso and all the Nellis vatos are gonna talk shit.
Hey, they're still. Hey, it's crazy because 30 years later, there's still that animosity between Paso and Nellis. With Southsiders, it was.
I will never say Nellis was soft. They fought their ass off over there. We just did things a little bit different in Paso, and we used to remind them, hey, when you get kicked out of Nellis, you come over here with us. Yeah. When we get kicked out, we go to Preston, we go to YTS, and then when they open Chad, we would go to Chad. Now, when you had the older dudes in Nellis, then they would go wherever. And real quick, I want to say the reason why in Paso and all the Ys down south, the reason why, not just the north-south thing, whatever, why is whatever, everybody's gangbanging. But the reason why we were happy that the Northerners were coming was because in Preston, the Northerners had numbers and a lot of the staff favored the Northerners. And so a busload of homies would go to fucking Preston and get whacked. The Northerners were dogging them, and that's why homies were like, hey, fuck stabbing them. I want to get a gun and shoot these motherfuckers, because dudes had homies that got up there and got whacked. There were homies that would lose their eyes. I remember a dude came, half of his ear was gone, and we clowned him. We were like, you came from Preston, huh? And he was like, I did, fool. They got us. No, so it was like the homies were like, okay, it's our turn. It's our turn to outnumber them and do our thing.
So the way Paso was, right, with all the fighting your enemigo in 3 days and all that, when you guys heard Northerners were coming, and they did come, you remember, you were there that exact day. How was it that day? Did that change the mentality of the South Side? Was it still business as usual, but fucking Northerners are here now, we're going to get off two on them? Or was it like, hey, fuck all the bullshit and just get these bottles?
I could tell you. So I don't know how Nellis was, but in Paso, every compa, every unit for the Southerners, there was a dude that was looked to as, he's like so-called the shot caller for the compa. Right? All the compas had one. We all knew who each other were. And there was a meeting. There was an agreement. Anybody who has a leva on your compa, if it was something that was petty bullshit where somebody just, like we all know of, even in YA, there was dirty politics and somebody got bullied. If it was over nothing, they got action to clean it up. The ones that can't clean it up, smash them and make these huras get rid of them. Right? And so it was still business as usual, but it was understood the priority is going to be them. The dudes were still going to get down with them because we didn't know how many were coming. Now, it would have probably changed had it been more like up north, because up north, like in Preston, if vatos from down south did get there, gangbanging wasn't the thing. It was because it was so outnumbered. It was like for the way the Northerners were in the joint. It was how
together, no matter what.
Yes.
So. And I wanted to say this too for the guys that were in Nellis, the Southsiders, because they get a bad rap. And I was there. I lived it. No one else could tell me different, right? they got a bad rap. There was a time when they were talked about in TS and other places of dropping notes. That's the truth, right? And the reason why is because they were under the impression that they let us walk the main line and there was no reason that we should have been on the main lines. Whereas in Paso, that's what the story's about. They were not allowed to. We're going to get more into that. But it wasn't like they didn't try. Vatos were getting off every day. It's that the administration, they didn't care. They didn't care, man. I don't know how many times I went to the school area in the morning, got in a fight, and within 5 minutes was in the oil, was out by lunchtime, ate my lunch, went back to school, got in another fight, and then had to fight the guys on the compa because it was their homeboys that I fought with in the school area. Happened all the time. The jumping, the battery packing, the stabbing, all that was going on. It's just that it was out of their reach. They couldn't do anything, and I think if they would have caught a body early, which is the mentality, then that might have changed the view, and maybe they would have said, we got to get rid of these Northerners. But what happened was, because that did not happen initially, and we stood our ground, and they kept, trying to get us off the main line, what happened was we started to accumulate numbers. And once you start to accumulate numbers, then it was just like kind of a different ballgame. Everyone was just kind of like, fuck, man, no matter what we do, North and South, they're going to keep bringing us back,
Okay, check this out. And this is just sort of like the other side of it. So when we had that meeting and that understanding we all got to as far as the levas, right? There was also this. It was when they bring these dudes, if they take them to Arroyo was, so we had a 270 building. Half of it was cut in half, right? Half of it was Arroyo, the fish tank. The other half was a compa called Pismo, right? And so our thing was, and this was a secondary meeting, basically, when they brought the Northerners, they took them to Arroyo. So they didn't put them on none of our dorms. They put them in the 270 where it's cell living, right? And there was a secondary agreement where, okay, these vatos that are over there with them, when they leave the fish tank, if they come to our compas, they don't have no paperwork, no level B saying they got off, smash them. Now, if it turns out that they got away, we're still smashing them. But if another homie comes with a level B and can co-sign and like say, oh no, Gunner got off, Holmes, all right, hey, Spencer. They still smashed you, but but the thing was this, and it goes back to what you were saying about Nellis. In Boston, our whole thing was, and I'll give you an example. So we got a dude that came to our compa, and I don't want to say what area he was from, but one of his homeboys was my right-hand man, right? And the Vato came, and I was like, hey, Holmes, what's up? You got any paperwork? You were in Arroyo, and he's like, yeah. And I said, you got any paperwork for getting off on him? You got a level B, a level A, anything? And he was like, nah. I said, did you get off on him? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, how do you not have paperwork? Holmes like, yeah. And he said, well, I got away. And I was like, what do you mean you got away? You know what I mean? And so our thing was every softback in that day room belongs to us. The TV belongs to us. You know how the mentality is.
Yeah. So we were like, sit in those chairs, period. Use the microwave, ironing board, nothing.
That's what we were saying.
Yeah.
That's what we were saying is, how did you let anybody use a microwave? How'd you let them sit down? Like anytime they came out, I get it that you don't have paperwork, but that's your fault. Like you get off and get off and get off and get off, and you see, I wasn't in Nellis, and you're saying it happened. But people are gonna say, oh yeah, Dubs was there when the Northerners got there. Of course, Dubs was there when they were talking about dropping Nellis. I was. The Northerners came. The Northerners came to Paso in May of 1992. I got kicked out in June of 92. I got kicked out of Paso behind getting in a bunch of shit when they started coming. Paso went crazy. Yeah. And I got kicked out. I was there. I remember in the day room, they were talking about, hey, Holmes, and all the compas right now, all the units, they're talking about these dudes in Nellis, letting them dudes walk Nellis. And it was a lot of dudes that had left Nellis that were upset. The rest of us were like, yeah, fuck that. But in the end, it was just decided, hey, fuck it. We'll deal with it on an individual basis because YTS is run like the joint.
Yeah, no, that happened. So let's go back. First day, they arrived. What time did they come? How was it? I know the NRCC vans were white, so they pulled up. Were you guys alerted? Did the cops know? Or what was going on?
They came during lunch. And we had just finished lunch. My compa and Paso, they only let 3 units out at a time when they do school movements, any movement. They won't let all the compas out because Paso had an institutional riot. I believe it was in 88 or 86. I don't know. I wasn't there, but we all were aware of it. And so they had just said for our unit to get ready for movement to school area, right? Yeah. Excuse me. So we're all starting to get ready. We're heading into the day room, and then boom, on the radio, it's like, do not release, do not release. We have a van coming in. Whoop, whoop. So immediately we're like, it's them. And so we went back out to the yard, and from where I was at, we could see across to Arroyo, the fish tank.
Yeah.
We saw the NRCC bus, and we're like, there they are. And so we saw the Raza that were coming out, and we're like, whoa, there they are. You know what I mean? Like, we'd never seen Northerners before.
There's the aliens, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I remember we didn't know. They had said that they had warned us. One of them was going to be a Golden Gloves boxer from Fresno. We couldn't figure out who that was, but there was one dude, huge, and we nicknamed him the Monster. And right off the bat, everybody was like, "Hey, I want to get that guy." But I remember, because so I don't know how Dallas is. Every compa has their own little yard, and it has barbed wire across the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were discussing, should we try to jump that fence? And we were thinking, if we jump that fence, by the time we get over there, they're just going to tell them to go inside the compa or get inside the van. We're going to waste our time. Let's just wait and let them get to it. But yeah, no, I remember that day, Holmes. It was the white van came in, and everybody was like, okay, they're here. Now let's see what's up. And that night, what happens in Paso, or what used to happen, every time a bus comes, a new bus, some new booties come in, after chow, they'll do a tour. They'll bring everybody in the unit out, and they walk, and they tell them, okay, this unit is this unit is this unit is this. And so that night when they did it, they kicked it off. The Southerners kicked it off against the Northerners. The Monster handled his business, that son of a bitch. And a dude from Fresno, I believe in the first riot, he knocked out 4 Southerners, and everybody was mad. Yeah. Everybody was like, fuck that. And so that was the first bus that came, and it was 10 of them. And we had been told they were going to bring a bus every week. And so we're like, okay, that's the first bus. So that was bus number 1.
So what do you think, Dubs? Because in Nellis, that's kind of how it was. They brought, not every week, they brought the first busload. They were there like 2 months before we got there. And then they started to bring busloads like every 2 months. Sometimes it varied. They said 10, but it'd be 10, 5, 7, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2. It'd be 8, right? It'd be a whole bunch of different ones. And then they stopped for like a year. We didn't get nobody. We used to be waiting, and it would come unannounced. It got to the point where Northern would just pull it. I'd see homies in the square like, damn, when did you guys get here? Oh, we got here Friday. What do you think was the ultimate, the boom that said, you know what? We just can't have them on this mainline function? Because I know they were going to school at night and doing all that. What do you think there was? It just also they knew that the mentality there, you guys were just crazy, or what was it?
Well, what happened was this. So the very first bus, they had a riot that night, right? And then, like I was telling you, we had IDs. We had picture IDs. And so we knew the only way you could get a new ID was you had to go into Arroyo, and they take your picture in there, and they make your ID on the spot. So you had Southerners constantly throwing away their IDs, ripping up their IDs, or cutting them, and trying to get in there. Every now and then shit would jump off. Dudes would be able to do it. Then you had the dudes over there. They had to segregate tiers. Southerners on one, Northerners on the other one. They were supposed to bring a bus every week. 2 weeks, they brought a bus. The first week was 10. The second week was 8. They never brought another bus, ever. And the administration, I guess, decided, you know what? It's not going to work. Because they had another dude. I don't know if he was a Northerner, but he made some comments, and this dummy was in Chicano history class. And they broke his head open with a desk. I don't think he was a Northerner, but I think he was a sympathizer. He was Raza. I think he was a square dude. I don't know, but I remember that happening. And then what the administration in Paso decided was to move all the Northerners out of Arroyo, next door, same building, but there's a wall down the middle, into Pismo. For the Southerners, that became the Leva unit. And in YA, there is no Leva. When you're drop Leva, you're catching the blues everywhere you go.
Every day. There's no PC in YA. There wasn't.
But in Paso, they made Pismo If Vato got dropped leva and we're getting served, boom, they would ship them to Pismo until there was no room. And so I think I don't know. I think the administration figured it's not worth whatever's going to happen if they go to these units. Hey, we were strapped, fool. Like,
I figure. I know it's just like Preston. For me, Paso was always the equivalent to Preston. It was the southern Preston. That's the way we looked at it, because you had to be 16 and older to go to Paso, right? Same thing in Preston. At one point in time, Preston was the gateway to Tracy Prison. Actually, you had to be 18 and older. Then they changed it to 16. Nellis, you could be anywhere from 11, 12 years old to age 24.
Yeah.
So Nellis had a whole different thing. So I think, you know what, and I always thought about it. Even sometimes I still reminisce, and I think, why were we able to, why they send us there? I think they said, well, they're younger. They're kids. They're not going to, they were more scared of really a body coming out of Paso. Whereas in Nellis, man, ultimately there was one eventually, you know, but it took, it was, like I said, man, you know, I see a lot of dudes, oh man, it wasn't like, listen, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it was like. It wasn't like there wasn't shit happening. There's shit happening every single day. Why it was like that period, even if it wasn't a north or south thing, there was fights every single day. And we put north and south in the mix, there was a pure hatred there. And it was a hatred like you couldn't even understand. Like you said, you got the 3 dots, and that was because I don't even want you bought those. Same thing. We all got 14s and X4 and all that on our eyes, because there was a rule in Nellis that if a Southerner hit us up, you know, because there were Southerners on other compas that never got to see us, didn't even know we were there. And if they, hey, you a homie? And we said, no, we tell them where we're from. It was mandatory rush, and they'll just keep going. So it was, we had that little gangbanger mentality too. Now, fuck that. You'll see where I'm from. Just get off. Don't even talk to me. And they did. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the whole Leva thing, I never understood. I mean, I understand the mentality. Like, how can you let them Vatos exist? It wasn't that they let us exist. The administration gave them no choice, you know? And it was cool because, I mean, none of that would have counted in the joint anyways. And almost everybody, I'd say 99.9% of the guys that were in the youth authority did go to the joint, 100%. Or didn't make it because they died within the first 4 months out of YA, right? But they wouldn't have it held against them. I mean, there might be some dudes that were in some place like, damn, homie, you were in Ellis at that time. Just clown them a little bit, but they wouldn't have, they wouldn't have been in that standing.
I talked about, I told the story. We dropped the 2 dudes level. One of the ones he had came from Arroyo with no paperwork. And it was another dude that was a homie who got, you know, he let somebody punk him basically. He didn't do no, you know, they didn't make him do no gay shit, but he got punked. And the day before the riot, the 2000 riot in Pelican Bay, I was at the fence. That's when that was the day I actually met Sharky, the one that died in the riot.
Yeah.
Because he was hanging around with dudes that I knew, right? So I was like, hey, you know, we were all, hey, Holmes, good luck tomorrow. You know, hopefully we make it. Hopefully I see you, you know, day after tomorrow, this and that. Whoop. And when I turned to walk away from the gate, I saw out of the corner of my eye somebody like what? And I looked. It was the dude that I personally, I mean, I kicked the dude in his mouth. I bolted him in his head a few times. And I saw him and I said, what's up? And he had told me, hey, next time we see each other, son. And that's when I kicked him in the face, because we were already down, pepper spray, everything.
Yeah.
But the fact that we just dropped you leva, and you as a leva are gonna threaten me, I kicked him in his mouth.
Yeah.
So that's when he was like, yeah, next time it's on. All right. And so when I saw him at the gate the day before the riot, I said, hey, what's up? And I said his name, and he's like, what's up? He said my name, right? And I said, hey, that issue, I said, you want to push that? It was a nothing issue for the joint, right?
Yeah, but still personal.
And I said, you want to push that? And he was like, nah, hell no. I said, all right, good. I said, you coming out tomorrow? And he said, yeah. I said, let's see how you do. And that was it.
Here's the thing too. So you end up getting shipped a month after the Northerners get there to TS, right? YTS. And I know you coming from Paso, you're not questioned unless you're in bad state. You're not questioned at all as far as anything bad with Northerners, because they already know how it was going down by that time. When guys from Nellis would get there, would they be questioned?
Well, I don't think they were. I mean, I think they were asking them for their level Bs. I think they wanted to see level A's, level Bs. But I'll tell you this: in R&R, they had dudes with weapons. YTS was run like we would hear about the way the joint was ran in the 60s, 70s, where you didn't even interact with a Hudas. It was going to be a convict that was going to come ask you your sizes and all that. That's how YTS was.
Yeah.
So when you get there, when you got there, they were the Hudas were in the corner, out of the way, right? But they had homies there with straps in R&R just waiting, and they would like, hey, where'd you come from? All right. And I think you already heard when they did finally bring the Northerners, because they did bring them to White Tiz. They went straight to the Rock. They went to the Rock. They didn't hit any compas either. That place would have been even probably the most dangerous place to take them.
Yeah, no doubt. It's like going to high desert back then.
Yeah, that.
Here's my thing. It's a trip that you said, and I wanted to get your opinion on this real quick. Do you think the mentality of that, letting the convicts run the joint, or even the convicts run YA like they do the wards, like they was in Preston? It was the exact same way in Preston. You get there, you didn't even talk to the cops. They let them give you your clothes, do all that, hit you up where you're from. It saved them from getting in the mix, basically. Like the cops just like let them do their thing. They'll figure it out whether they get off or not. Do you think that mentality from the 60s, 70s, the old school, probably it would be better than what it is now with the administration and the cops all up in everyone's business?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they don't run shit anyways. The convicts do, but it would be better if they stayed out of the way. You know, I obviously the job assignment juras, they do what they do, but you know, I just know on 180s, like especially like Pelican Bay and New Folsom, the juras would come in the morning, unlock the fucking supply closet, go into their office, turn off the light, and go to sleep. The tower cop would let out the dudes because they know these dudes know how to do their time. We're not going to stop anything they're going to do, and it should stay like that. And I've always believed. I told the story. I got schooled at a young ass age, man, by an older homie. They have a place for everybody in prison, and you know, and that's this like with this California model. What they're trying to do now. Hey, the people that want to program are going to program. The people that want to kill people, they have a place for them too. There's a place for everybody, you know. But the cops, I think, you know, there was a dude in one of our lives recently and said, hey, you got any advice for me that he was going to start working in the CDC? And just remember, you're not a crime fighter. No matter what the academy is telling you, you are not a crime fighter. You have a job where your whole goal is to do your shift and get home safe, because you cannot stop anything that the convicts have planned. You can get in the way and get hurt, but you can't stop.
So with that being said, I think we both could agree, man, it's going to always remain a mystery in Paso of why exactly the administration decided to not place the Northerners on the main line there like they did in Nellis. I think more so, I think it was a mentality. I think you guys put your foot down and were like, we're going to kill someone here. We're not playing. We're not going to let them be here. I think that's what it was. It had to be.
It also could be the superintendent, because remember, they're not called wardens. Those were superintendents. They're all schools. I think the superintendent in Paso may have pushed back against the new director of YAs and said, hey, man, this is like, you know, people are going to like not to say it just would have been Northerners, but there would have been some killings, you know.
Riddle me this, Dubs. So in all these places, Preston, Chad, Nellis, OH, DeWitt, all these places, you did have Crips and Bloods everywhere. But when it came to North and South, they got a little bit more touchy. It was a touchy situation. And that just showed, and I'm not saying that it's because the blacks they were hitting each other, Crips and Bloods. They were doing their thing. When it was like North and South, even all the staff got scared. They'd be like, ooh, there was always that mystique there.
You have to remember that back then, though, Bloods were very, 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 very rare. Very outnumbered. There would be 2, 3, maybe 5 of them in a compa, and there's 75 dudes on a compa, on a dorm. But I've always said this, you know, after the Tupac and Death Row thing made Bloods popular, then it became different. But back then, Holmes, hey, I was cool with a lot of the Bloods, man. We used to, the Southerners at least, used to tip our hat to them dudes. We're like, damn, Holmes, them vatos got balls, because they were outnumbered like a motherfucker, and they were backing down back then.
It just took me out, because I was talking to some Crip a while back, and he was just like, oh, you guys' rivalry is about the same as ours. I said, yeah, but we didn't see it that way, and neither did the administration. I said, to be totally honest, you know, when you talked about Crips or Bloods, yeah, they did their thing. No doubt about it. I ain't taking nothing from the blacks, man. They handled their business. But when they talked about North and South, they started having meetings, and the cops would go into other offices, and they were like, grab gurneys, because they were just like, these Mexicans are going to kill each other. Straight up. Unfortunately. That was the mentality. Unfortunately. Not glorifying it, but that's just the way it was. Anyways, man, with that being said, I appreciate you, Dubs, coming in, man. We're going to go ahead and drop this, let you guys know what's up. The only yard that I know of in the youth authority, maybe even in prison, because I know there was yards that they never sent Northerners to in prison, and there were yards they sent them to that they were just not allowed to walk the yard. But the only yard that I know that they for sure were not going to walk that main line. Also held it down, man. That's just the way it is. So with that being said, man, hey, make sure you guys tune in to the Dub S channel and the Dubs channel and Dub S World channel. Go like, subscribe, go get some of that great content, man. And we appreciate your time right here. Thank you, man. I'm out.
Right now.